welcome back. We're going to start segment 2 here, where we're going to do the Week 2 preview of every team. We're going to tell you which team's going to win. Take that to the bank, because we're going to tell you why. George, I'm stoked. You excited?
I'm excited. Let's do this.
Let's do it. So let's start with the Thursday night game. We got two teams that, I guess the Bengals didn't look bad, but they were also playing a bad team at home. And the Browns looked every bit as bad as you would think while playing on the road in Baltimore. Could be a sneaky, tough pick. Cleveland at home versus Cincinnati. George, tell me who you got and why.
I got the Browns. I feel like Joe Burrow last week with that field goal that should have been hit but didn't, to send them into overtime. That was a big hit for somebody that's a first-year rookie. Oftentimes they don't win in their first game out, and I think that getting that close to winning is going to be pretty frustrating. The Browns in general, I'll give you one scary statistic. Out of all the players that had more than 10 targets or more, from a receiver perspective, Odell Beckham had the least amount of catches after earning 10 targets. The synergy on that team, based with the talent that's on that team, and from a receiver level, from a running back level, Jarvis Landry, who is a perennial top 15 fantasy wide receiver year after year, that team needs to get on the same page with each other, but I feel like they're just going to do just enough to squeak it out against the Bengals.
Yeah, it's funny because Baker Mayfield's rookie year, you felt like, oh, that team's coming around there at the end of the season. And then they signed everybody in the world last year, and they were like that sneaky pick to be sexy and good because they had Odell Beckham and his buddy Landry's there, and it's all coming together, and that defense is going to be pretty good. And they were just a disaster. Couldn't put to say they didn't gel wouldn't begin to tell that story last year. But at the end of the day, as much as I want the Browns to be better, and their talent says they should be better, they're not. I still have to pick them in this game because I think when you look at Burrow and that team, I think a year or two from now, Cincinnati's going to fight with Baltimore for that division. You're going to see those two young quarterbacks and Lamar and Burrow go after it. I think Burrow is a very NFL-ready quarterback as much as one really can be, but unfortunately, that team in Cincinnati just isn't there yet. They're a few years away with some good coaching and a couple of other draft picks to kind of shore up some spots to be there. And we know, realistically, Pittsburgh's on its last legs with Ben, so I think that's where we're at, but they're just not there yet. So I'm with you. I'm going to take in a winning effort. We're going to go with Cleveland in this game as well. So I guess we're all synced up on that one for Thursday night. Hopefully, we're right.
And we can expect some pretty bad football on Thursdays. Let's get that straight too.
Yeah, I remember a couple years, I don't know, it feels like a couple years ago, probably 10 years ago, Thursday night started to it wasn't until almost Thanksgiving where Thursday night became a thing. And it was oh, we're going to do this for the last month of the season. Why do we have Thursday night games? If you want to do a Thursday night opener, fine. Why do we have Thursday night games on week 2? Come on. I don't need this. Neither here nor there. But that's a good shout out. I like your pull out there. All right, let's move to the 1:00 slate on Sunday. So we're going to start with Buffalo playing on the road against Miami. A lot of teams have trouble playing in Miami. Is Buffalo going to be one of them?
No, I don't think so. I think
no.
I think the Bills are going to have a somewhat easy time with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Miami's another young team. I like the fact that they shut it down and started to rebuild last year. But come on, over under 3 games, I'm gonna probably take maybe 3 on the dot. So
And especially if if Tua actually takes over earlier than sooner for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yes, he's the better talent, but that's going to throw the team in disarray because there's no veteran presence there. Devontae Parker will probably be the most veteran person on the entire skill positions on the offense. So I think it's going to be another couple of years of growing for them.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. They're at least a couple of draft classes away from being overtly relevant. So yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo pretty easy on that one as well. One that could be a little more complicated, right? Tennessee playing at home to the Jaguars. Jaguars got away with one and Jacksonville last week against the Colts. I know Gostkowski won that game, but that's not the way didn't look good for him. Can Tennessee shake off those cobwebs that they clearly showed in Denver last week and come out strong and run the ball and win this game?
I'm going Titans here. I think that they're at home, even though that doesn't matter as much as it used to. The Jaguars were a surprising win last week, and they do play Indy very tight. They play everybody in their division very tight. However, I just think that there is more. The Titans have everything that the Jaguars do, but more when it comes to having Derrick Henry to be able to run the clock out, having ball management with Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill went on a run last year in the last 7 to 8 weeks of the season, and I don't suspect that to be ending anytime soon.
So here's some interesting stats for you from last week with the Jaguars. They put up 241 yards in the game, gave up 445 yards, and somehow won 27-20. You're not going to do that too many times in the NFL. You're not going to have that kind of yardage disparity and win games. So I'm with you there. I think Minshew mania gets put in check a little bit this week, and we're going to see Tennessee steamroll a little bit, do what the Colts should have done, and run the damn ball. And we're going to see Derrick Henry have a good game, and you might even see a backup over there. I don't know which one because they're trotting out a couple guys, but you might even see one of their backup running backs have a decent game. I just think that Tennessee is going to run the ball all over Jacksonville and win going away, really just grinding that clock down. All righty, on to our next 1 o'clock game. We got San Francisco coming out to the East Coast to play the Jets. That's tough. Early start, West Coast team, though I'm sure San Francisco will be happy to get out of the smoke and smog that they've got out there. They're clearly the more talented team. Are the Jets going to be able to do something against San Francisco given the early start and all that? Are they going to be able to take advantage of that and beat a more talented team?
Not a chance. I see San Francisco winning this game. They just have better talent, even though they're a little bit depleted. George Kittle is questionable to play in the game.
Yeah.
But just even without Kittle being in the game, just from a Raheem Mostert perspective, just from a perspective of having some of the young wide receiver talent that's there, let alone when Deebo Samuel comes back in, say, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going San Francisco. It may not be a complete blowout, but when you look at the skill players, the Jets have seemed to get hurt again. Le'Veon Bell is hurt. So we're back to the Frank Gore show, and then eventually probably Pirine, the rookie, is going to get his shot. So long story short, I'm going 49ers all the way.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think the Niners are going to win. I think LaMichael Pirine is also questionable in this game. We saw them. They signed Kellen Balaj, who they're going to have to probably throw in there and just hope his hamstring is good, right? Remember they almost traded for him in the offseason and he failed the physical. I'm with you. The talent around Darnold just isn't there yet. Although I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just think that the talent's just not there around him, offensively or defensively, realistically. And I think there's just too much when you look at Mostert, and if he doesn't have a good game, then they've got Tevin Coleman and they've got Jerick McKinnon. Like, they've got running backs for days there in San Francisco, and they're going to try to run the ball, keep it fresh there in that Shanahan-led offense. So I'm with you there. I think we got Niners. And I think comfortably. I'm with you. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I'd say comfortably.
Do we think this is Sam Darnold's last shot?
I don't know that I can say that. Maybe with the Jets, like maybe the Jets move on, right? So if the Jets have a high enough draft pick and they can draft Trevor Lawrence, maybe they do. But I don't like what has Darnold been given, right? He has an opportunity to play, but there's never it's not like they've surrounded him with players, right? They surrounded him with a year off Le'Veon Bell who never really could come back and do anything. They've never surrounded him with a wealth of Robbie Anderson. Is that the best receiver he's ever had? So I don't think you can look at Darnold and say, well, you didn't cut it. Like, come on.
We'll see. They went out and they signed Shar Perriman this offseason. There's a lot of decent talent that's there to be utilized. Jamison Crowder was a big time player for the Washington football team. So it's a matter of getting all those different talents. Chris Herndon, hopefully stays healthy
Herndon's
this year.
There, yeah. I just don't know that you can look at it and say, like, if he doesn't do it this year in the odd year of all years, like, he can't cut it in the NFL. I don't know that I'm prepared to say that about Sam Darnold. That's a good question. I like that out of you. Let's move on to Green Bay and Detroit. Oh my God, Detroit, what happened? I talked so much trash against Trubisky last week. I had people watching the show sending me notes like, how can you dog on Trubisky? You know what? I'm going to still dog on Trubisky. Like, Detroit should have never let them back into that game. Trubisky played awful for 3 quarters and then somehow miraculously won a football game at the end. Like, doesn't make him a good quarterback. I'm sticking by that, just throwing that out there. Green Bay at home to Detroit. You got to have Green Bay in this one, right?
Yeah, I have Green Bay. Green Bay looks phenomenal.
Filthy, right?
Filthy. And then the first week they were actually able to throw the ball better because they could run the ball so well.
Everybody, yeah, you saw that Minnesota was really concentrating on just trying to stop the run, and they didn't do a great job of that, and still gave up a bunch of passing yards too. So if Green Bay's offense can hum like this, they are absolutely a Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. A team that can win 2 different ways. And you might see this, I mean, maybe if they win, does Rodgers ride out into the sunset? Way too early in the season to kind of make that bold statement, but, maybe he does. Maybe he says, all right, I'm out. I won one, or I won another one, and I've had enough. Moving on to Pittsburgh and Denver. Denver kind of losing a bit of a heartbreaker up there at Mile High. Pittsburgh looked pretty good in week 1 as well. I've got Pittsburgh as a really good looking team this year. They are favored to win this game. It's got to be Pittsburgh going away at home, right at Heinz Field against Denver, right?
It's Pittsburgh all the way. Even with their injuries, it seems like Pittsburgh is this team. Not only did they not lose a lot of players because of opt-outs or injuries in the beginning of the year, but they just have a lot of really great talent. They've been doing a lot of drafting from the running back position, skill position between James Conner, Benny Snell, all the other folks that are there. I know that they just even brought another rookie in this year. So Pittsburgh all the way. Big Ben looks great. I think I'm going to make good on my prediction that he's going to be the comeback player of the year. Juju looks phenomenal. I'm all in. They're gonna kick the tar out of the Broncos.
Yeah, I saw Juju's numbers and Big Ben's numbers last week or on Sunday and thought, man, George got me. My guy I picked for comeback player of the year dropped 2 balls. So I am in on an inauspicious start there with Ty. I still have hope for him though. I still have hope. So, but I'm with you, Pittsburgh all the way in that one. All right, let's move into Chicago. The Bears are playing at home after pulling out a miracle somehow against Detroit. Have a really great chance to start 2-0 against let's call it what it is, like a pretty bad Giants team. Who you got?
I got the Bears. Uh, I like the way that they gelled. They came together and they got it done towards the end of the game. I also like the receiver town over there. Lot of people coming to age, and for folks like Allen Robinson, it's proving that you are that wide receiver one that 1 year of injury proved
Yeah.
to everyone that you weren't. Anthony Miller's really getting red
Coming
hot,
around.
and
Yeah.
he's a great secondary pick there, and he's a great secondary wide receiver there. Tariq Cohen is still there. They didn't even utilize him too much last week. David Montgomery for his running skills. Just too much talent on that side. Their this defense should be looking better this year. I'm Bears all the way.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears over the Giants. Let me ask you this though. I mean, the Giants are bad. It's just what it is. They're a ways away. Although I'm jumping on the Jones bandwagon a little bit. Like I think he's a more talented kid than they got a lot of boo birds for drafting him, and I'm like that kid's just actually pretty talented now that we watch him play. Let me ask you this though. Like looking at Allen Robinson, you brought him up.
Mm-hmm.
News that he wants to be traded. He's not happy with his contract. He's not happy with the progress the Raiders are making or lack thereof of his contract. He's not happy with his pay. So much so that his agent had to come out and say, "Oh no, he didn't ask for a trade." To the Bears, like, at what point do you say like, "Yeah, he's talented. We're not going to keep him. We've got to either trade this guy or this becomes a locker room issue, or like, is that a big enough distraction to hurt this team in the short or even long term as we look throughout this year?"
I think you pay the man. Uh, I think
I don't
I,
disagree.
I think he's shown that he is a great consistent leader on the field, and that he could take 10 to 12 targets a game and make the most out of it. When you think about people that they haven't paid in the past, like Alshon Jeffrey, okay, there was probably a pretty good reason why they let him walk. Brandon Marshall, kind of on the tail end of his career, so they let him walk. Let's make Allen Robinson a bear for
A
life.
made man. So here's my only thing, and he's 27, so he's still got years left. There's no doubt about it. I'm not in their boardroom, so I don't know what kind of contract he's asking for. I don't. I have trouble giving him, Hopkins money, 27 million a year, because he's a very good wide receiver. But they're not built to be around a wide receiver, and I don't think the Bears can give a wide receiver 27 million a year. That being said, I'm a believer in Allen Robinson. I would wonder at this point if he would even sign. Like, what kind of contract would they have to offer him? Because he seems so disgruntled by the lack of progress and even any offers that he's just like, nope, I'm out. I'll play out the rest of my contract this year and I'm done. I don't know. We'll see. It's obviously all hearsay because you and I are nobodies with a YouTube show. So we're just guessing. So let's have fun guessing.
Sure.
Just pull out the globe and speculate wildly.
Yeah, just spin it and then point somewhere, and that's where we're going next.
That's where we're going next. Well, in this particular instance, where we're going next is Indianapolis. So we got Indianapolis playing at home to Minnesota. Um, as I mentioned, really, really unhappy with what the Colts did last week. I hope it doesn't get in their head, but you could be right. Maybe the Rivers curse has hit them. Who you got?
I'm gonna give this game to the Vikings for a couple of different reasons. I think the Vikings have a really good defense. I feel like that they're pretty impressive when it comes to their just general like receiver talent, running back talent. Even the rookie that took over for Diggs, he's gelled pretty well. Only had a couple of targets last game, but I see a lot of talent. I see a lot of progress there. Um, but I could very easily take the Colts because it's going to be JT time. But I just think that I feel like Philip Rivers has a lot of rookies there, has a lot of folks that were hurt last year that didn't really get to play too much. And then Ty, and that's it for the most part.
I'm going to take the Colts. A couple different reasons. I think if we can figure out a way to get Rivers to stop throwing picks all over the place, that they'll win this game. That's obviously a key to this. I think the Colts having some fans in the stadiums, not that it's a ton, but there's going to be 25% capacity, so around 20,000 people there at Lucas Oil. And I think that having the fans cheering for you, feeling a little bit of home cooking, they traditionally play well in the dome. I say the dome, used to be called the dome, Lucas Oil now, the retractable roof. And I think that's a spot for them to win. I also think that although the front seven with Minnesota is good, no doubt about it, I think that Frank Reich is going to get back to what his team does well, and that's going to be just running the ball down Minnesota throat. And I Dalvin Cook concerns me. Madison even concerns me. They've got Thielen over there is pretty good. But I just think the Colts take this one away. I think they're pissed from losing that game in Jacksonville that they shouldn't have lost. I mean, again, they put up almost 500 yards of offense in a losing effort, and I think they're going to come back, play better, and avoid those turnovers because, again, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are one thing, but man, Minnesota gave up all the yards to Green Bay and all the points to Green Bay, and I think that defensive backfield is going to struggle. And so even though I think the Colts are going to definitely try to run the ball, I think having Paris Campbell get out and get deep, and T.Y. Hilton get out and try to get deep, and Michael Pittman as an end zone target, like I think the Colts will hone that in, zero in on it a little bit, and make the Vikings pay this week. And that's rough for me to say because I called the Vikings as a possible playoff team last week. If you start 0-2, you're starting in a hole. But I also called the Colts to win the division. So one of the two of them can't be right.
So JT, under or over 80 yards from scrimmage?
From scrimmage, over. Over 80 yards from scrimmage.
Were you surprised as an Indy fan? Were you surprised that he was catching as many balls as he was?
Shocked, because that was the knock on him. In fact, I was reading a couple of practices towards the end of the season, like scrimmage they were playing. He was dropping balls. But he looked fine as an NFL pass catcher out of the backfield last week. Fine. So now I don't think he'll get as many opportunities this week with Nyheim Hines, with him being the starter and being kind of the workhorse, and Hines being the guy that's going to be that third down back we talked last week. And I don't think they were kind of prepared to go to JT as early as what they needed to when Matt got hurt. But I actually think JT gives us an even more of a bruising back. And I'm telling you, Mac has had injury problems since he got in Indy. If that dude could have had one healthy full 16-game slate, he would have been a top 5 runner in the NFL. And he just couldn't do it. He couldn't stay healthy. And that's part of the reason they drafted JT in the first place. So, and in fact, in my dynasty league, my 16-team dynasty league, I went out this week and got Jordan Wilkins, who's the backup to JT, because the Colts love to, like, 3 running backs is what they will use. So you're going to see Jordan Wilkins get a fair share of carries this week. And he usually makes pretty good on that. The man does not have a bad average as a running back. So keep an eye on that. All righty. So we got a little differentiator there. Let's move to Arlington, Texas. You went big on Atlanta last week. It did not work out for you. We both went big on Dallas. It did not work out for us. Again, one of these teams has got to lose. Who's winning this week in Dallas? You got the boys turning around, or Atlanta pulling out what would be an upset?
I'm doubling down on the Falcons.
Hmm.
I think that like I said in the previous segment, Dallas plays in a way where they act like that they belong there, but they haven't done anything to prove it. They have a lot of expensive talent. They've got Ezekiel Elliott, who's got his new feed me belly tat that he likes to show everybody. But at the end of the day, they have 3 really great receivers, a really good quarterback that doesn't know how to get it done in the tense situations, and they've got themselves a top 5 running back in the league. But when the time comes to get it done, to have that drive that goes all the way down the field, it doesn't seem to happen. Falcons looked like they were firing on all cylinders in that last game. It's just one thing they could do is keep up on it with a a really good offense. So I'm going to pick the Falcons here.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons put up 500 yards in that game, so it's hard to argue with you that they didn't that their offense they actually out 200 yards. They outgained the Seahawks by almost 200 yards in a game that they just didn't win. And so you've got to look at it and say, well, what happened? And so at the end of the day, that's kind of where you feel like that kind of question starts to creep in. And I don't know, I guess that's where it's at. So this is a tough one for me because I have to, like, if you look purely at talent, by the way, let me go back to the Falcons real quick. Calvin Ridley had a monster game. So that I'm loving my pick for Ridley overtaking my boy Julio. Not that Julio had a bad game by any stretch. I think Julio had 27 more yards, but he didn't have any of those TDs. They were both targeted 12 times. They both had 9 receptions. So this is going to be an interesting one to gauge it out. Russell Gage, by the way, 9 catches on 12 targets for 100 yards as well. So you really have to wonder as you're looking at the stats on this, right? What was the difference maker? And Matt Ryan threw a pick. And so when you have the turnovers, and there was also a fumble that was lost, and not that can be put on Matt Ryan, like you have to start to wonder, yeah, you're outscoring teams, you're throwing picks. And I would wonder if that's going to be what kind of bites them here. I'm going to take the Cowboys. And I know that's kind of a rambling. I'm going to take the Cowboys, I think, at home in Dallas, Jerry's Playhouse over there. And my lips to God's ears, I know they have 3 wide receivers that are just amazing, and I actually like Blake Jarwin as well. Run the damn ball. Give the ball to Zeke. Let him run on this team that cannot stop him. And that's the recipe for Dallas to win this game. We'll see what Mr. McCarthy does. That's usually not his line of thinking. He likes to air it out. But please run the ball and win the game, Dallas Cowboys, please. Somebody send this message to McCarthy.
Quick note there, Blake Jarwin's done for the year as well. So.
Oh, I missed that.
Tore his ACL.
God. Well, who knew they would miss Witten? So it is what it is. I know Van Der Esch went out. That's my concern about the Cowboys is, God, that defense without Van Der Esch, they're questionable anyway. And man, Gurley could have a big game. And you could see both Julio and Calvin ripping off some stuff here. I don't know. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys here, and again, I'm looking at that division and I'm wondering who's going to be good enough to win that division. It can't be the Washington football team, right?
I mean, the good thing about that division is they're all going to be pretty close to each other till pretty much the end.
They're pretty much all going to be the equal amount of bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I'm taking the Cowboys. It's a little bit begrudgingly, but I had to. I guess at the end of the day, I had to pick somebody, didn't I, George?
Did.
Okay. let's move on from that one. Tampa Bay playing at home to Carolina. Tommy Terrific's got to win in game 2, right?
Tommy Terrific has a very good chance of winning in game 2. Panthers overall, they looked really sloppy. In my opinion, they look like that they're a one-man team, and that one man is Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Just because they have changed quarterbacks for Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think that he is a marked improvement over Cam Newton or an injured Cam Newton. So I don't think they're going to be doing very well. I think they're going to be one of the bottom tier teams in this league, or I want to say in this division at the very least. I'm going Buccaneers. I think Tom Brady's going to see his first win as a Buccaneer.
Yeah, what's funny is, and again, last week I went ahead and took Carolina, and it looked really good for me for a lot of the game. And then I don't know. That game was just a mess. 17 or what was it? 17-15 at half. But then Las Vegas went out. Then Carolina came back, and then Las Vegas won the game. You know what I thought? I thought they'd hang their hat on defense, but apparently they forgot. Matt Rule forgot. about what his what Ron Rivera did there with a defensive team that led them to the Super Bowl. I don't know. That game was a sloppy mess on both teams. But yeah, I'm with you. Tommy terrific, and to have a big day. And if Tommy's got some guts, he's gonna. Well, it's not Tommy's got some guts. If Bruce Arians has some common sense, he won't make Tom Terrific try to win this one. He'll do a little bit of running the ball, figure out a way to get Leonard Fournette in there running the ball, do some off tackle, and do some damage against Carolina because Josh Jacobs had a monster day last week. All righty, moving on to the Eagles, and that just completely busted up offensive line against the Rams. Eagles are playing at home, but that line is toast, right? Like there's nobody left there.
Line is toast. I'm thinking it's got to be the Rams. I like to see. I saw a lot of gelling with their defense. They were able to stop a team that's supposed to be a high-powered team, albeit in the first week of the season there. Eagles, I didn't really see anything that I was really impressed with in the first week. There was no real grit. Obviously, they lost a lot of their players to injury. The key players should be coming back again this week, but I'm being realistic. I think the Rams are going to start out 2-0 for this year.
Yeah, I mean the Vegas bookies have this as a pick 'em, and I just think like it's got to be because the Rams are coming all the way out east, and I get that that's a tough thing for them, but that Eagles line gave up 8 sacks. I get it, Chase Young, yada yada, but like to a mediocre defense. You give up 8 sacks to a mediocre defense, and like I get it, Aaron Donald's not Aaron Donald that he used to be, but the Rams can get after the football, and I think the Rams are gonna put Philly on toast. So, not to mention like Philly's like Haskins, come on, like get like a rookie in Gibson, like Rams going away. All right, let's go back to I think we're on the 4:00 starts now. So let's move back up to those. So Kansas City playing away to the Chargers. Division games are always tough, but Kansas City's winning this one like way away, right?
Oh yeah, Kansas City is coming in with talk about the team that has swagger and has earned it.
All the swag.
But still plays with some great urgency. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is everything that everybody thought he was going to be. He looked dynamic. He looked crisp. I think he didn't get into the goal line for the second time, and I think that was mostly just because of the ability for the Texans to have a goal line stance. But I'm not concerned about him. They've made their team that much better. The only thing that's really bad about the Chiefs is who's going to get the ball in the end zone and who's going to get the catches on a week-to-week basis.
The only concern you have with the Chiefs is which guy to put in for fantasy because there's too many. They're just good. I'm with you. The Chiefs going way, way, way. All right, next 4:00 start. We got Arizona winning against Washington, right? Like Arizona at home. They're like Washington shouldn't have won their first game. You got to have Arizona going away there, right?
So I think the Cardinals are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be as close as, or it's going to be as far of a reach. It's going to be a close game. It's Washington seems to be motivated. Just from looking at the first game, seems like they're motivated. Their coach is going through chemotherapy. They gave the game ball to him. It's almost like Chuck Pagano back in with your Colts back in the day.
Chuck Strong. I had the shirt. I no longer have the shirt.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it really close, but I just feel like the Cardinals were showing a lot on offense last week, and the DeAndre Hopkins really gelled in there really well. So I'm going Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going Cardinals. Too much offense there. Kyler Murray doing it in multiple ways, and too much defense too. That defense is formidable. And so I think with Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmond, both strong out of the backfield, and then they've got wide receivers that they can send them like hockey lines. So I think just too much for the Washington football team. Bring them back down to earth. Bring them back down to earth a little bit. We got Houston playing at home to Baltimore. You got to feel like Houston can't start out 2-0 or 0-2, but I just don't see a way past Baltimore, right?
Flat out no. It's gonna be the Ravens all the way.
Ravens might run for 300 yards.
Yeah, I like what I saw from the Texans last week, where David Johnson did his first 20-yard run, and since I think Obama was president, I think they were saying. I like the way that Will Fuller looked. I think that he's going to be a great receiver.
Had all the targets there, right?
All
the targets. So.
I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'm a little bit nervous about some of the other where some of the other players fit in, like Brandon Cooks. Anyway, I'm going Ravens. Ravens look great. They look impressive. Looking for another J.K. Dobbins running touchdown.
Attaboy. I'm taking Ravens going away here. The Texans are that Ravens defense is better than the ones that they found in Kansas City. And I realized like they had some grit and staying in that game late, right? Not just giving up. And so I like that if I'm a Texans fan, but the reality is there's just like this Baltimore team is going to destroy them. So that's the way I feel about it as well. So let's move on from there. I think that's the last of the 4 o'clocks, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure I didn't miss one here. Good. So let's move to Seattle and New England Sunday night. Seattle's playing at home to New England. We got the Russell Wilson cookbook still going, right? Well, who you got?
Oh, this is going to be my lock of the week. I think the Seahawks are going to win.
Lock of the week. And that's a bold one. It's not like you picked Kansas City over the Chargers, right? Like easy lock, Buffalo over Miami. If you're going to pick a lock of the week, you're going out deep and you're going on that limb. You're picking Seahawks over New England. I'm going to be right there with you in that lock. Seattle going away. Too many holes in that New England. I know it's still good, but like too many holes in that New England defense with all the folks that have opted out. I like the Seattle defense being able to stop the run of Cam Newton. Again, like we said, you try to run like that against a formidable defense, not Miami, you're going to get hit. And I get it, Cam's a big boy, but that's also how Cam got hurt. And so, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I think Seattle, that offense we already went over in the first segment, too much, too good for the Pats. So I'm with you there. Put it in, lock it down, Seattle. All right, let's move it to Monday night. Who wouldn't love a Monday night game in Las Vegas without fans? Or at least I'm assuming still no fans. We've got the new Las Vegas team, home opener against the Saints. You gotta want to go Saints here, but that offense wasn't as strong as you thought or you wanted it to be last week. Who you got?
I'm going Saints, even though Michael Thomas is hurt. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. I want to see Jared Cook step up. I want to see Emmanuel Sanders step up. Kamara maybe get a little bit more reps in for catches. But ultimately, I think that the Raiders are a good young team, but Saints have a good defense. They keep pressure on their opponent consistently, and something's got to give. And I'm picking the Saints.
I went out on a limb with this one. No pain, no gain. I'm taking the Raiders in Las Vegas Monday night home opener, and I'm going to take Josh Jacobs and that just beast of a man running it down some New Orleans Saints throat. So we'll see. But I love the picks. I love the discussion here. Give me your before we depart for segment 3, for our break before segment 3, give me your biggest shocking thing that's going to happen in week 2.
biggest shocking thing that's going to happen in week 2.
Surprise me, Georgie.
Oh man. I'm gonna go out and I am going to say that I'm blanking. What's your biggest shock?
My biggest shock for week 2, well, I kind of gave it to you with the Raiders beating the Saints.
That is a big shock.
That's a big one. All right, next biggest shock for week 2. I'm going to tell you right now that Paris Campbell is going to have 2 touchdowns and the Colts win over Minnesota. 2
That
TD
is
performance.
shocking.
That would be a shocker. So that's my shock for week 2. All right, we'll see you back here for segment number 3.